So doing this channel, I watch a lot of B movies, a lot of straight to video movies, straight to DVD, VOD, all that sort of stuff. And every now and then you'll find a little gem, one that you think, actually that was so damn good. Not many people talk about it, but it was good. And this leads me on to Trench 11. This one is directed by Leo Sherman, I believe his name is. Great first name, by the way. Anyway, and it's a pretty good zombie-style horror war movie, I want to say. It takes place in the closing days of World War I. And the British intelligence get wind that there are some type of strange goings on in this kind of like this tunnel area, which is behind enemy lines. And they don't know why they're tunnelling behind their own lines. They basically send in two British intelligence officers, a small team of American kind of military personnel, 3 American military personnel, and a Canadian tunneler to find out what's going on. So when we go there, we go to this kind of like, obviously this behind enemy lines, and they go down these tunnels, and I found out the Germans have been doing some type of biological experimentation, you know, and created a weird kind of virus which essentially turns its victims into zombie-like creatures. But it's actually more of a kind of a body horror to a point out of the thing, because there's these strange kind of like parasitic worms that infest your body and kind of like, you know, creep out and stuff. It looks really effective. Add to that with it, then we have the because the Germans know that they're losing the war at this point, they essentially want to kind of destroy all the evidence there and kind of really not kind of put any chance of peace in jeopardy by having obviously all these inhumane experiments. So our kind of group of protagonists are not only threatened by the infected creatures that down in these tunnels, but also these Germans that have come on to finish the job as well. So it's an interesting kind of three-way kind of like assault, really. So let's talk about what works and what doesn't work with Trench 11. I'm actually going to talk about the negatives first of all, because they're relatively minor, and then we're going to get on to the good stuff. So what doesn't work for me? The main thing for me is our central protagonist is grossly underdeveloped. And this is the biggest issue of this movie, is that we are introduced to our small band of heroes, and our main guy, you just feel like you don't really know him. He's also miscast. I mean, you know, if you know anything about kind of warfare and the tunnelers and stuff, they're generally smaller guys. This guy is the biggest guy on the team. They do actually make a comment about it in the film, but nonetheless, it still doesn't really make sense in regards to the actual context of the story itself. So that was kind of a little bit silly, I've got to say, unfortunately. But what works for this film? Because to be honest with you, there's not much else I can say in a negative film with this one. Let's talk about the effects first of all. Woo! These are some good effects, man. This film is actually surprisingly gory and effectively gory. I actually thought the gore on display here was really impressive, and the effects where they've used these worm creatures that kind of like ooze out of people's like orifices and stuff is truly disgusting. That was all great. I like the fact that we had the German soldiers also get some personality as well, and we learn that they're not all the kind of like, you know, typical kind of like one mentality. There's actually divisions and kind of like different opinions in the German camp as well. We actually have quite a good scene where we have someone from the German side and from the Allied side almost kind of like have a kind of find a mutual respect for each other and kind of almost help each other to a certain degree because they kind of want the same thing. That I really liked, because I thought, because quite often with war films, if you're looking at, I know this isn't Nazis, but you know, if we're looking kind of like World War I and II, quite often the Germans are portrayed as all of just one type of person. So I like the fact that you know, it's not quite as simple as that. I also thought just the kind of the way this movie was filmed makes it kind of creepy. You don't really know what's going on. The actual creatures themselves, I think they built them up to be a little bit you know, they told them, you know, not one of these can get out and all of this, but they're not quite as horror, you know, they're not quite as unstoppable as you might think. They tend to just go down quite easily with guns as well. So I thought maybe the kind of these creatures were built up to be a little bit more unstoppable than they actually are. But nonetheless, they look really effective. I really liked some of the dialogue here between our kind of protagonist characters, because we have, you know, English, we have American, we have Canadian, and there's actually a little bit of animosity between them as well. So I thought that was actually sort of quite good, and kind of, you know, you've got these feeling these guys are still, even though they were allied, they still were keeping themselves with their own individual countrymen, and kind of maybe looked down upon, you know, their kind of like their compatriots if they were from a different country. So I thought the subtleties of that was quite good. And then we get into the tunnels ourselves. I think the camera work here is very good. The creepy atmosphere. It's an interesting storyline, you know, with some kind of interesting characters on both sides of the kind of the cast here. It's just a shame our central protagonist really is so weak and so kind of undeveloped. I don't think the actor does a bad job necessarily, but he's grossly underwritten. And I will say that there's another character, one of the English intelligence agents, you get the feeling there maybe should have been a bit more to what was going on with him, because he just kind of ends up, things happen off screen and thinking, oh, I was expecting a little bit more of that scene to happen. It was kind of a bit of a minor quibble, I suppose. But this is really good. I really enjoyed this movie, so I would definitely check out Trench 11. It fits kind of into that kind of that sort of Nazi zombie genre, I suppose. I mean, it's World War I, so it's not Nazis, and they're not technically zombies, but it's close enough that I would think if you like those kind of like zombie Nazis, this is definitely worth checking out. It's a well-made film that's kind of well acted and really, really good special effects. I can't undersell the special effects enough, and they're really impressive. Go check it out. I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think? Leave me a comment on the show. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.